What is good, everyone? A-Rock Oakley back for another video. Ferda Squadron checking in. Big news today. Jango, Triple Dark Raid, DJ, all suspended. So what does this mean? Um, well, it means we can do a lot with Wedge. I think Jango ended up being one of the worst matchups. Just the sheer fact of if we do happen to build up a unit, it's just very easy for them to tap it down. But now we don't have to worry about that. So we have other things to worry about. I think there's going to be a big rise in waylays and bamboozle. So cunning stocks still high, still one of the best aspects in the game, if not the best aspect in the game. But what that actually means for Wedge is I think we can shift the build to be um, a little bit more aggressive. Um, Less reliant on things like Bright Hope, which is a card that I'm very, very high on. But I think it is becoming a little less necessary. And, there might be a few more things that we can consider. Maybe we're going lower to the ground. Maybe we're trying to figure things out. Maybe we're going a little bit taller with stuff like wing leaders and different things like that. There's a lot of great rebels that we can consider. So we're going to talk about it here. We're going to adjust Tarkin Town, we're going to adjust Thermal Oscillator, and then we're going to build a 30-point base build. And try and keep these to be a little bit different from each other because I think when testing, I want to see how things work and then apply, similar to what we did with Thermal Oscillator to Tarkin Town, and allow that to kind of, shape where we go. So as we play games into what the meta will become, which I think could be very Quinlan Tarkin Town, Cad Bane Tarkin Town centered, along with we're going to see blue green villainy on the rise. Sabine is going to definitely see an uptick, and we'll see a little bit more hard control play into it. I think some other six deploy leaders that can be aggressive and have solid game. We might see more double aggression type builds, like a Luke set 4 aggression build that can play into the fighters, into playing aggression, so it has good upgrade removal, which is stuff that we're going to have to be aware of as a deck that likes to pilot. So keep that in mind as we start to build and as we go forward. So starting off with Tarkin Town, I think probably the highest up on what I want to be doing and where I want to be living. Um, with with Django going away, I think we become less reliant on a card like Bright Hope. There's a part of me that wants to stick 2 of these in the side and see what being much more aggressive looks like. So essentially, where would I go? So we go to the sideboard with these. I'm not really going to worry too much about the sideboard too much outside of maybe drop the really like in timely. Hmm. In the Talking Town build, I still think I want access to Daring Raid. I wouldn't cut any of the pilots. If I was cutting stuff in the main board, I think I would cut. So we'll go down to 2, and we'll drop the Fang Fighters for now. Even though I mentioned some pilots being up, Kazuda might actually be on the rise as well. So now that leaves us with a solid 3 open spots. I think that this is where I want to include numbers of like maybe a third blue leader, and I think that this is exactly where I want to try wing leader. I think this card can lead to pretty insane games where you pilot something, grow it nice and big, and then have this happen. So if you talk about the numbers, if we're just doing raw numbers, nothing's interrupted between this and Fleet Lieutenant. What you're looking at is um, Wing Leader represents, I believe it's 12 damage without a pilot. So it's just like a Green Squadron A-Wing into Wing Leader, attack for 5, next turn, attack for 5, attack for 2, there's your 12. Fleet Lieutenant represents 5 plus 3 and 3, which is 11. So this does function in that way. If it's very strong in that way, the benefits to the 1 less damage on the Fleet Lieutenant is the action cheating and keeping initiative. But the growth of the body on that on the Wing Leader is pretty nuts, which actually makes me want to keep the Fang Fighters in because of traitorous. So maybe we'll revisit the sideboard here in a second. But I think this is where I kind of want to start. Is just let's go up. No, we're gonna go down to two. And now, if I'm trying to change something up, what would I change? Hmm. We were talking quite a bit around a card called Heroic Sacrifice, which, if you don't know, pull it up on screen right now. Heroic Sacrifice, I think, could be a really great draw engine, can be a great pump spell, and can help us get under decks and play a little bit more aggressive. So let's put one in the board right now, and then the other card I want to try and see if we can fit in is a red 3. So let's put one of each of those in. What would we adjust here? Maybe this is actually going to be more in the 30 HP build. Yeah, we're going to save that. So actually, I'm going to drop. What am I going to drop? Let's drop the assault ships for now and bring back in the Fang fighters. I think that we just kind of want access to that upgrade removal. It's just too relevant, and that puts us at 10. We're at 51. We need to drop the red 3. So I think this is where I'm gonna try out with Heroic Sack's gotta go. So we'll go up to 3 on the wing leaders. I want to try this. I want to see if this allows us to get under and really pump some damage. So Tarkin Town. Let's go right there. Solid build. Nothing changed in the ground. Added the 3 wing leaders. Dropped the 3 bright hopes. Let's just start there. I think that this gives us a solid point to start from. Moving on to the thermal oscillator. Now, with this build, we have space in the side to drop these snow speeders, which are definitely not needed anymore. Trying to find space in the main board we were talking about. So the bright hopes go to the side. We'll just put those at 2, and we can just leave this as basically the same sideboard as we had over there. Drop the Valiant Assault ships. So we have 3 spots here. Now, I really like red 3. Trying to consider what other cards I might be lower on. Here's an idea that I have of we pull this down, we go up Heroic Sack. Do I want Heroic Sack in this build? I really think it's the 30 point. Like, am I just trying to jam the wing leaders all day? Easy resource if you know it's against Cunning and you're going to get bounced. So the theory I had just now was dropping the one fleet lieutenant, putting in 2, so we have 4 spaces open to where we go 2 and 2. We go for 2 wing leaders into 2 heroic sacks. I think that that could do some sweet, sweet work. Again, we're just trying to get under stuff, so does that make sense here? Let's try it. We're going to go 2 and 2 and 2 here in the thermal oscillator build. So we go wing leader. Again, I know we talked about keeping things a little different, but I think that this will give us a good test of how this works. So this is a nice little 45. We got the bright hopes in the side. We're playing heavy, heavy in the aggression, and really trying to push a lot of damage. Don't forget that Heroic Sacrifice can be a draw engine where you don't have to attack with this, where if you have one resource and you just need to dig, especially in a Thermal Oscillator version, that's going to be great. Any draw power, I think, is really good. Most of the time you're using Heroic Sacrifice to set up lethal and or close out the game with this card, so keep that in mind. Yeah, let's go ahead and give this a save. This I think will be nice for testing, a nice way for us to get under, and I think we give it a go. All right, moving on. So we're building this raw, which should be a little bit of fun. So let's just roll through how we would build this. So if you're ever looking to build, so essentially what we're cutting from what would essentially be building off of the Tarkin Town version is we're able to cut things like Daring Raid, and I think that that almost is a 2-2 swap for the Heroic Sax. But what else could we potentially be playing? I know that, so let's go 2 in there. I know that we have some players in the KTOD Wedge discussion, which if you're not a part of KTOD, make sure you guys go give them a follow. They are doing wonderful things, and it's great stuff. And we have the Ferda Squadron killing it in the Wedge chat, where we're just actually pumping out tons and tons of great philosophy and building in the way that we think the deck can go, and the sheer amount of conversation that's being had has been huge. So there was a discussion that was brought up today just around 2 cards, which would be Trench Run versus Heroic Sack. Trench Run, I think, is really only good. It's only good on fighters, but we could increase those odds, and the only one non-fighter we'd have would be the Falcon. But Heroic Sack can be used on ground units, and I think that that is where I like Heroic Sack more than Trench Run. Even though Trench Run can represent more damage, I think it's just a little too linear, and you can get blown out by this card where if you happen to hit the odds in a bad way, so you just kind of get wrecked. Still high on Alliance X-Wing for sure as we keep passing through. So Battlefield Marine was something that I mentioned, and I think it came up as well. Why wouldn't you just play like Leia or Sabine if you wanted to be playing this? But this would be a great ground pivot instead of like the Red Squadron Y-Wing, which I'm going to try out in this build so we have less pilot options, but we go Battlefield Marine over the Red Squadron Y-Wing because we don't have Tarkin Town. And generally, Red Squadron Y-Wing is like pretty good into control, and is really one of the like the ships that we want to pilot every single time. But I just don't think it's as good. And there could be merit to playing uh, Sabine instead of Battlefield Marine, but this not being a unique unit, I think I like this a little bit more. So we're going to start there. We'll toss these Spec Force soldiers in the side. I think that's a must-have. Um, so this is something else that I want to try in this Wedge 30 build as we keep looking through. Green Squadron A-Wing, Super Duh, card's crazy good. Where are we at? Let's keep rolling through these. I'm probably going to pass a few that I like. Somebody was mentioning Keep Fighting could be a cool option, but maybe is a little too cute just because it de-incentivizes us piloting some of our units, but can represent some really great damage, especially with like bigs onto an A-Wing or something they brought up in the KTOD chat. So definitely a cool option. 3 Phoenix A-Wings for sure. Let's keep going down the list. No Pathfinders. There's our Red Squadron Y-Wing that we dropped for the Battlefield Marine. Again, this could be Sabine Wren, but I think that we're good to start here. Seasoned Fleet Admiral just doesn't have the heroic tag, so we're and the other part of this is we're going to try and keep this to be 100% for cause as well, since we're off the Daring Raids, which Daring Raids can represent the extra damage, but I think that this is exactly where we want to be. So let's keep pushing on to the 3 drops. Biggs is a 3 of for sure. Blue Leader we still have at 2. Cassian Andor is at 2 in my eyes. I could be up to 3. You could definitely go up. Cassian's just an incredible unit to have access to. I have noticed Cassian with Metal Ceremony on the flip turn could just put things out of range, and Cassian becomes a 4/6, which is a great stat line, as we all know. And that puts us in a really, really good spot. So definitely like the Metal Ceremonies in that. So I'll toss in 2 of these. So the other thought of the ground arena that we can add that might be worth playing is Echo Base Defender, which let's try and find a spot. Let's put these are going to be sideboards because this will help us in the ground, but I think with the Battlefield Marines, we might not need it. So Mean Dean was talking about Echo Base Defender, and it was brought up again by someone in the KTOD Discord about Echo Base Defender being kind of a great option. It's a great drop on 3. attacks well, and it just does a lot to slow the game down and can make that math awkward for our opponents. But it might be better in the Tarkin Town version because this can take out a 7 if it's attacked into, and then you Tarkin Town after that. So maybe considering it over here in the Tarkin Town version in the side, where would I switch? Maybe Cham. We'll see. We got it in here for now. We'll get there. So we definitely have 3 fleet, 3 for cause. Continuing forward, get out and push Millennium Falcon, super duh. So now we're getting into options of in this build. I think we like red 3 over red 5, but even in this build we can consider things like Sabine's Masterpiece. I don't know if I love that simply based on, wow, maybe with the Battlefield Marine it's great. Yeah, I just don't know if we can do enough to protect it without playing Bright Hopes in the main. So I think I'm higher on red 3 here. Red 5, not enough is taking damage. We don't have the Red Squadron Y-Wings, and I think red 3 just does a little bit more here. If you do like Sabine's Masterpiece and want to include it, I would definitely include at least 1 or 2 of Timely Intervention if you're looking at that. So yeah, Sabine's Masterpiece is going to put in some work. Let's go to the triple wing leader. Don't see anything else we like. Onto the 4s, 2 Bright Hopes into the side for sure. Jamie boy, let's go in the side against those ramp decks. What else do we have access to? We need to get to our boy Chewbacca. We're at 44 cards. I think we might have missed something. Let's see. General Dodonna is something we can definitely be considering as a ground pivot option that buffs everything, which would be fun. K2SO comes to mind, guaranteeing some damage. We'll pass in our red leaders. I think that these are still very good. If you do pilot on turn 1 because it's safe and then you drop red leader and pilot it, you're just developing a board that demands multiple answers across multiple units. So still a fan of the red leader. Where else would we be at here? Definitely Chewbacca at a 3 of, and I think that kind of wraps it up. There's not many other cards that we're playing at 5. Is our numbers off here? Blue leader, Fang fighters are definitely in the side. What am I forgetting? Let's run it back, because I don't think we're playing anything above 5. Let's just run it through real quick. Speeders are out, none of Marauders, none of that. Our boy Wedge just chilling in his pilot. Uniform looking good. Wish we could play it. Pod could be something we consider. I still think Cassian is in the same slot as Pod, and I just like Cassian more. Let's see. We got our 10 sideboard. Metal Ceremony, Heroic Sack. I'm forgetting one of the best cards. I walked right by it. And it's a 3 of. Where you at? It's going to be right on this next page. So Rebel Assault. That's not even a question. So if I was playing 30, this is kind of where I think I would be. We have a great ground pivot. Another thing that I like about Battlefield Marine and what Fleet Lieutenant can offer, and we can even play Cassian on turn 2, is that now with Heroic Sack and a Fleet Lieutenant onto any of these units, we can take out a Sabine. We force them to answer our units rather than going to base, so that it's harder for them to race, especially on 4 resources, if we hold up that. And we can do so in a few ways, where we can play a 3-drop and hold up Heroic Sack. So we go 3-1, and that looks really good. So I like Heroic Sack not only as an aggressive option, but as a defensive option. And this feels pretty aggressive. This feels pretty sweet. Would I play something else over these Echo-based defenders? What do we have in here? Bright Hopes, it's Spec Force, it's the Timely. Maybe Timely is not as necessary right now. It's really good in the mirror. If I had to choose between Echo Base because I'm playing the Battlefield Marines, I'm gonna stick to the same sideboards across the board. I'm gonna let Mean Dean and some of the rest of the crew showcase if they really like the Echo-based Defender, and I will try the other side of the coin here. So we got Wedge 30. Let's publish this. So it's unlisted, save. Links will be in the description down below of all these decks. So if you want to make a copy for yourself, or if you have any questions, feel free to let us know down below. Pretty crazy stuff happened here today, and I think we have a really interesting metagame coming up, and how we decide to attack this metagame, I think, is going to be really, really fun, and I think Wedge is in a fantastic spot to be able to attack the meta in a lot of different ways. I think we can be more aggressive. I think we can do a little bit more, and that feels really good. It feels really, really good, and yeah, looking excited. I'm looking forward, and I'm really excited just to see what we can do. Wedge Part 13. It's crazy to see that this is 13 brews in. So I think 14 will be in, probably after the weekend, after we see a little bit more, maybe a little bit more testing, and a little bit more discussion. But yeah, really excited. And let me know in the comments down below what you all think about the news. If you think that this was a great play from FFG, I personally think it is, and I am very interested to hear and read what all of you all think. Yeah. Well, Ferda Squadron signing off. Stay awesome, everybody, and may the force be with you.